Recording in progress.
जी डॉक्टर साहब रेडी हैं, शुरू करें? आप म्यूट पे हैं।
आप सुन सकते हैं मुझे?
जी जी, अब आवाज आ रही है।
नेटवर्क का इशू तो नहीं आ रहा क्योंकि मैंने डेटा पे उस पे लिया क्योंकि 11 यहाँ लाइट चली जाती है 11।
हाँ जी, बिजली तो यहाँ भी बंद है, लेकिन आई थिंक वी शुड स्टार्ट नाउ, राइट?
दैट्स ग्रेट।
Okay, Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. I welcome you all to our 9th monthly lecture series. We are conducting these lecture series on a monthly basis on the platform of Center for Peace and Global Studies, Islamabad. Today, our speaker is Dr. Abd-us-Samad Sheikh. Dr. Abd-us-Samad Sheikh holds a PhD in Islamic Studies from International Islamic University, Islamabad, and a postdoc from University of Exeter, UK. He has published several articles at various journals and conferences on the topic of Sirah and Hadith and Islamic Studies. He is the author of a book on Sirah titled The Prophet of Excellent Moral Values, an anthology. He is currently an assistant professor at International Islamic University, Islamabad, and has previously served at Dawa Academy of the same university. Dr. Abd-us-Samad Sheikh, I invite you to please speak on today's topic, which is what was Madrasah, the tradition of learning in South Asia and dilemma of modern Madrasah. Dr. Abd-us-Samad Sheikh.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Thank you for this moderation, and I thank all organizers of this institute for giving me a chance to present my views on modern madrasa and what was the actual learning tradition in pre-modern South Asia. I think all you can hear me well. I just want to ensure.
That's correct, yeah. Please go
That's great, thank you. Yes, there are some reflections which appear from my title of, of the talk today. And I will talk about madrasa, especially the modern madrasa, whether it is the continuation of pre-modern learning tradition of South Asia, or it's new of its we can say that it was an urgent response of ulama in 19th century towards the colonial changes which were happening in South Asia, especially in late 18th century, 19th century. So that will be the topic of talk today. I'm gonna
Uh,
share with you people my
would you like to
slides
share
here.
screen?
Yeah. I'm going to share my slides with you people, so it will be easy to get my views. Uh,
Yeah, we can see that.
can you see my?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Can you change slides?
Yeah. Does it work now?
Can you try to change slides?
Yeah. I can. Can you see the title page of my slides?
Yeah, that's right.
That's great. So today's talk will be consisting of two parts. Initially, the tradition of learning in pre-modern South Asia and the dilemma of modern madrasa. Uh, okay, let's come to the main slide of today. Learning tradition in medieval Islam, state and education. Uh, in medieval Islam, when we mean by medieval Islam, it's meant that the time period beginning from 8th century to 15th and 16th century. Usually, it's meant by medieval time period, where the early medieval, modern, medium, and late medieval time. So, if you see the history of madrasas, so we don't see any madrasa established. There were some institutions, they were called madrasa, or some of them they called them halaqa, and some of them they called them maktab because they were linked and associated with mosque. And a lot of scholar they established this kind of halaqas adjacent to the mosque, or they were their drawing rooms of their homes. So they used to impart education according to their specialization. So, but before Nizami of Baghdad, the formal institution of learning, where where we can see a lot of scholars, they are imparting education on different subjects, and the pupils they are getting together there to learn different disciplines in Islamic studies or in any discipline. So what was before it? So I would say the state regulated system was not there, and ulama were there, and they were imparting education. Hello, is it okay?
Yeah, please go ahead. I've switched off your video so
That's
that we
great.
can hear you properly. There is some jitter. If you can
That
switch to Wi-Fi, that will be great.
that's great. No, actually, I don't have electricity right now, so I have connected my laptop with my data from cell phone.
Okay,
So that's a problem, I think,
please go
because
ahead.
I was not expecting electricity will disappear today, but unfortunately it went wrong. Anyway, so before the establishment of Nizami of Baghdad, I will come later to explain it. How did the rulers, especially the Seljuk government, established in 11th century, Nizami of Baghdad? What were the reason behind the establishment of this institution? There was some kind of state patronage of education. But they couldn't establish and regulate madrasa, or this kind of learning institution, a formal institution where a student can learn different subjects lot of disciplines under one roof from different scholar. It was not there, but there were individual personalities. They were patronized by ulama. So when we say, sorry, by rulers or emperor of Muslim states, when we see ulama, when we see emperors or rulers patronizing ilm and ulama, so we have a big history in this regard, beginning from the time of Umar ibn al-Khattab. He established a lot of makatib in Kufa and other parts of the Muslim. He was very prominent in this regard, and he was a big scholar and later became emperor. He also patronized ilm. And later we see his collection in late first century, and he appreciated and encouraged ulama to collect all the tradition of the Prophet ﷺ in his time history. And he was patronized by these ulama to collect all the tradition of the Prophet ﷺ. They are very prominent in the Islamic history. And later we see in second century, in middle of second century, of Ja'far al-Mansur. He was I won't say mentor of Imam Malik, but he has good linkages with the ulama of that time, and he patronized not only Imam Malik, but also Ibn al-Muqaffa, the person who was who has a Persian origin, but later converted to Islam, and he has a good link with Abu Abdullah Safa and other rulers of Abbasi. And he was patronized by them, and he did a good job and contributed a lot of things in this regard. And his work, the of Bayt al-Hikmah, which emerged at the time of Harun al-Rashid, but it was established earlier in second century. Also, in second century, also in Arabic literature, and he was patronized by these Safah and Mansur and other caliphs and emperors of Abbasi. Harun al-Rashid in third century also emerged. In late second century, he also emerged as a ruler who patronized ulama. And I mentioned all these need a lot of examples, just like the relation of Imam Zuhri with Umayyad emperors. It was very famous, and a lot of scholars from Tabi'een, they were patronized by a scholar, Umayyad scholar. And Tabi'een scholar, they were patronized because Ibn Muqaffa was not a religious scholar. He was a philosopher, and he worked on philosophy and translation of. So that's why I especially highlighted Ibn Muqaffa. And after Ibn Muqaffa, we also see Jahid in third century. He was also patronized by the scholar, and he did a good job. And Ibn Muqaffa was very young when he died. I think he was 35 or 36 when he was assassinated by because there was a political problem for him, which led to his murder or assassination. And he could contribute a lot. And Al-Jahid, he lived long and contributed well, and his and later we see Mas'udi, very famous Shia historian, the author of Muruj al-Dhahab. He also was Asfahani, the very famous scholar who compiled a book Al-Aghani. He was also patronized. So I mentioned all these names because they were not religious scholars. They worked on fine arts and tried to contribute the previous nation's work and their contribution to literary works, just like philosophy and others. They translated or they tried to convert their work into the Arabic or Muslim world. So Isfahani, his book Al-Aghani, the songs and their style and tunes and the protocols in this regard. But he actual life of third and fourth century, and he lived long and from Medina and other parts of the Muslim world. Anyway, he was not a religious scholar, but he was patronized by ulama, and he did a good job. So in this part, before Madrasa, we don't see any state-regulated authority or institution, but we see
Dr. Abd-us-Samad, are you there? We can't hear your voice. Dr. Abd-us-Samad, are you there? I apologize, everyone. I think we are having some electricity issues in our city. So the internet is very unstable. So let's see if we can get him back. Yeah, we understand that the voice quality is not very good. Yeah, Dr. Abdus-Samad, is it possible for you to switch to Wi-Fi? I mean, if the electricity has come back, because we are having trouble.
yeah. That's true. Yeah. Now I'm on Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Yeah. I think, yeah, it will not continue long. Yeah, now I'm switched to Wi-Fi.
All right. Okay. Please share your screen and continue. I think we lost him again. Okay, just bear with us while we try to get him back. Dr. Abdus-Samad, we had lost you again. Is it okay now on your side? You are on mute. Dr. Abdus-Samad, you are on mute.
I'm sorry. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
That's great. Okay, can someone tell me where did we break? Because I didn't know, and I got
Just the
disconnected.
patronage of scholars.
Okay, that's great. Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we were here on second sub-slide, religious and secular sciences. So the Muslim emperors, before the establishment of Madrasah, they did not patronize on the religious sciences, but they also patronized secular sciences. as we see the middle of third century, they were, we can say they were pro-Mu'tazilit, and Imam Ahmad was not feeling good when he was tortured by Al-Ma'mun and people and other people from Abbasid bloc, government bloc. So anyway, the third century was very we can say very clear in this regard that the caliph at that time, they were pro-Mu'tazilit and they were supporting them, and they were not happy with Sunni scholar, and that's why we see the Bayt al-Hikmah was working at that time on secular sciences, and they were trying to translate all work which has been done by ancient civilization or ancient nations, Greek, whether Greek or Hindus or someone else. So it was the emergence of secular sciences as well. Anyway, the third one, subslide, is there. Masjid, Maktab, and Halaqa. Before the Madrasah, there were three kind of institution. I wouldn't say institution. Yeah, they were imparting education on as per their capability or capacity. Masjid, yeah, it was main source since time of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam from Sahaba, Tabi'in, and Masjid was the main central part of imparting education. Maktab was there, and sometime Maktab they were associated with mosque, and most of and sometimes they were the drawing rooms of ulama, and pupils used to get together there and learn from their shuyukh and mashayikh. And halaqats was there also, and they were not restricted or confined to the mosque or to the drawing rooms. Sometimes these kind of halaqat they were at mosque, sometimes at drawing rooms, and sometimes it's central place of a metropolitan, I mean big cities of the Muslim empire, just like in Baghdad or Umayyad or Dimashq or somewhere else in Kufa and Basra. So these halaqas, they were very prominent. And they were not, I would say again, they were not confined to the masajid. Uh, yes. The first madrasa in the history of Muslims, which was established earlier, it was Madrasah Nidamiya of Baghdad. We will see a lot of articles and dissertations and books have appeared so far on this aspect, Nidamiya of Baghdad. But this is very important to know. There were a lot of factors which caused to establish Nidamiya of Baghdad. And in fact, it was established in 1066, in second half of 11th century. And the person who was behind the establishment of Nidamiya, who was Nidam al-Mulk Tusi, very famous Seljuk wazir at that time, and he worked hard on the establishment of this madrasa and spent a lot of money and invited a lot of scholars to come to this madrasa and participate and impart their expertise and their knowledge. And one of them was Imam Ghazali. Imam Ghazali also came to the Nizami, and I think it was around 480, between 480 and 490 from Hijrah. Imam Ghazali was there, and Abu Ishaq Shirazi was the Sadr Mudarris of that time. And initially he refused to be Sadr Mudarris, the chief teacher, or we can say the vice chancellor of Nizami of Baghdad, but later he agreed upon. And meanwhile, another person, Ibn Sabbagh, who was appointed as the teacher. We should know that Madrasa Nizamiya, when was established, and before Nizamiya, there were some institution in Muslim world. Although they were not known as Madrasa, but they were there. Just like Jamiat al-Azhar, it was established by Buwahid in 10th century in Egypt. And they also established Darul Hikmah, just like Bayt al-Hikmah, which was established by Mansur and later Abbasid Caliph. They also established in 10th century an institution named Dar al-Hikmah. So before Nizami of Baghdad, not too much earlier, but maybe 50 or 60 years earlier, they also established. And when Seljuk came to the government, and they were successor of Buwahid and Fatimid, we see the change, political changes which occurred in 5th century or late 4th century of Hijrah. So they worked on that pattern, and they realized that establishment of institution of learning, this is very important to change the mindset of general public. That's why they tried to establish Nizamiya of Baghdad. And that's why when you see the Western contribution from the 20th century onward till now, you will see they associate Nizamiya of Baghdad with certain political and certain political and theological doctrines. They can find they associate Nizamiya with it. Just like Goldziher in his book Introduction to Islam, he has talked about it, and he said that Nizamiya was established just to promote Ash'arism against the Mu'tazilism. And some people say that Nizamiya was established just to counter Shi'ism with Sunnism, and we can say the Shafi'ism prominently, because a lot of the ulama, they were leading this movement, they were Shafi'i, just like Abu Ishaq al-Shirazi and Abu al-Ma'ali al-Juhayni and Imam Ghazali. All of them, they were Shafi'i scholar. So they were leading this institution, and it was against Shi'ism because they were prominent earlier, 50 or 60 years in this region. So that's why they were trying to counter Shi'ism. So I think it's not fair to associate Nizamiya with the promotion of the only promotion of these two thoughts. I mean, Ash'arism or Shafi'ism. This is not fair. There were other factors as well. So there were other factors as well. And because Nizami of Baghdad was not transmitting only ilm al-kalam and other religious sciences, but they were also trying to make learn some administrative sciences and some linguistic sciences, just to get some government employees, bureaucrats and clerks for the running of government system. That was the main aim of Nizam al-Mulk Tusi. So yeah, this is true. They were promoting Ash'arism and Shafi'ism and other thoughts, but it was not only the main purpose or the main goal of Seljuk government to just only promote, because we see there were some Shafi'i scholars, they were biased towards Shafi'ism and against Hanbalism, and there were some disputes against Hanabla and Shafi'i in 5th century of Baghdad, as highlighted by a very famous scholar, George Magdisi, in his very prominent article, The Muslim Institution, 11th century of Baghdad. He also highlighted, but Nizam al-Mulk wrote a lot of letters, not only to Shirazi and other scholars, that we don't want to promote one sect or one school of thought from all Islamic school of thought, just like Hanbali and Maliki and Hanafi. We should be moderate in this regard. We should be just to everyone, and we have to incorporate all segments of the society and all scholars. So they were not biased for the Shafi'ism or Ash'arism, but in fact, the ruling the prominent ulama of that time, they were Shafi'i at the time. So that's why they were leading this institution. So it was named with the tendency of Ash'arism or the Shafi'ism. So that was the brief background of Nizami of Baghdad. Anyway, curriculum and autonomy, yeah, this is true, that Nizami of Baghdad has a full autonomy and there was no interference from Nizam al-Mulk Tusi and others. But this is true that Nizam al-Mulk took everything in his hand, from the appointment of teacher and Sadr Mudarris, and I mean the chief teacher of the institution. And he never allowed person who was not Shafi'i, who was Hamli or Shi'i, especially the Shi'i. There were some Hamli scholar and Hanafi scholar, but they were allowed, but Shi'i, they never allowed to get teacher in Nizami of Baghdad. And Nizam al-Mulk Tusi was very strict in this regard. So the autonomy, I think, autonomy was in terms of curriculum and what every teacher intended to teach his pupil or his students. He was autonomous in this regard. He has freedom and no intervention from the government. But the appointment of teachers, it was not at the hand of the Sadr Mudarris or the chief teacher of that time. It was at the hand of Nizam al-Mulk Tusi and his family. Anyway, the fourth one, Nizamiya's impact on learning tradition. Yeah, this is true. Nizamiya played a pivotal role to promote learning. as I said, Nizamiya was an advanced form of learning institution, because before Nizamiya, you will see a lot of madrasa. Even in Baghdad, there were around 30 madrasa, as mentioned by George Makdisi in his article. And when George Makdisi came to mention Nizami of Baghdad in his very famous book, The Rise of Colleges in the Learning of Institution in Western and Islam. So he also highlighted that there were a lot of institutions before the establishment of Nizami of Baghdad, but they were based on one teacher. Just like Abu Ishaq Shirazi was teaching fiqh and ilm al-kalam, so his institution was named the Madrasah of Abu Ishaq Shirazi. And before Madrasah of Abu Ishaq Shirazi, if you go to the Nishapur, and there was a very famous Usuli jurist, very famous scholar, Abu Ishaq Isfaraini, there was Madrasah of Abu Ishaq Isfaraini, and Madrasah Bayhaq is what very prominent in 5th century, but it was based on Imam Bayhaqi, the very famous muhaddis in 5th century, who died in 458. So there were a lot of madrasa, but they were not madrasa in terms of just like the modern term, that there are a lot of scholars, lot of disciplines, lot of courses. They are being taught under one roof and under one unified system. It was not there, but a lot of scholars, they were teaching in different halaqas, their sciences, their expertise, they were imparting. So yeah, they used to be called and named madrasa as well, but it was not like Nizami of Baghdad. Anyway, if someone wants to learn more about Nizami of Baghdad, there are a lot of books, and in question answer session, if someone poses this kind of question, I can respond to it. And book of Umir Safi, The Politics of Knowledge, and Wail Halaq article, State Education and Jurist, and Political Thought of Abu Mu'ali al-Juwayni. It's very good. And so we will talk later, if we get time, on Ghazali's role and Abu Mu'ali al-Juwayni's role in Nizamiya. So anyway, this is the brief about Nizamiya. Let's come to the madrasa in medieval South Asia. When we talk about madrasa in medieval South Asia, so we don't see any madrasa before Nizamiya in South Asia. And in fact, the first madrasa which was established in medieval South Asia, the madrasa was established by Shihabuddin Ghori at Ajmer in 1190. And before 1190, they were not formal madrasa, but there were makatib and halaqat. Yeah, in previous talk, I missed a very important point, that when Nizamiya of Baghdad was established, so there were no learning institution in West. And George Makdisi has come to a very good conclusion in this regard. He says that Pia causa, the waqf pattern, which was introduced by Western academic learning institution, it came from the concept of waqf, because when Nizami of Baghdad was established, it was endowed by government some endowments, some lands and some properties which will contribute to meet the expenses of Nizami of Baghdad, and it will cause for this madrasa to be more sustainable in future, and it will not be what we can say. It will not be dependent on the rulers. If they want to continue it, they will continue. Otherwise, they will stop it. No, it was autonomous in this regard, and it has his own sources of income, just like Waqf. So when the first University of West was established in Spain, I do remember, I think in 12th century. So they also copied the model of Nizami of Baghdad. And I'm not saying this, but it was said by George Makdisi in his famous book, The Rise of Colleges. So later we can discuss it further if we get some question in this regard. So anyway, I was talking about madrasa in medieval South Asia. So before Nizami of Baghdad, there were halaqas, and yes, this is true. Ali Hajwiri was there in 10th century. Mu'inuddin Chishti was there, and other scholars. They were imparting education before the formal madrasa of Ajmer. Not Mu'inuddin Chishti, Ali Hajwiri, we can say, in Lahore, and other scholar in Sindh. And Sindh was a very big area, beginning from Gujarat, Sindh, the modern Sindh, and the Multan. Multan was also considered part of Sindh at that time. So yeah, there were masajid, there were halaqat, there were makatib, but there were madrasa. The first madrasa was established by Shahabuddin Ghori in 1190, and yeah, they were a scholar, just like in other parts of Muslim empire. They were scholars. They were imparting education. Their makatib, halaqat, but they were not madrasa. Uh, so when we see the learning tradition in South Asia, especially the medieval time, we see the Sindh area, Multan, sciences, just like philosophy, mantiq, riyadi, we can say mathematics and geography and astronomy and other sciences. They were and music. They were not there, and all these sciences they came from Central Asia. So there is
I apologize. I think we have lost him again. Let's wait if he comes back.
sorry for this. Yeah,
Yeah, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
yeah, that's good. Thank you. Yes, we were talking about uh, uh, the madrasa in South Asia in medieval time. So I was talking that there is the difference, key difference between madrasa in northern part of South Asia. I mean Delhi and other areas of the South Asia and the Sindh and then the nearest point of this region, just like Multan was, as I said, considered the part of Sindh earlier in 12th and 13th century. Uh, in Sindh and other part, just like Gujarat and Multan, they were prominent in religious, or we can say manqulat, the transmitted sciences. But Delhi and these northern part of South Asia, they were prominent in ma'qulat, and ma'qulat came from Central Asia. And there was a dispute between the Indian scholar that whether we should incorporate ma'qulat, rational sciences, in curriculum of madrasa or not. So it continued till 14th century, and at the time of Alauddin Khilji, it was if you see the history of Diauddin Barani, Tarikh Feroz Shahi, we see the dispute between ulama, between different groups of ulama, that whether we should incorporate rational sciences in the curriculum of madrasa or not. So most of the ulama at that time agreed upon incorporation of rational sciences in the curriculum of madrasa. So that was very drastic change in the history of learning tradition in South Asia. So in South Asia, we see two historic main events or events that this is very unfortunate. I don't know what's going on here. La
I
hawla
think
wala quwwata.
you can switch off your video. Maybe that will solve things.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, we can see that. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So I was saying that there were two historic movements. They played a pivotal role in the history of learning tradition in South Asia. The first was the 1153 when Ghazna was seized by a Turk in 1153, and a lot of scholars from Ghazna they migrated to Lahore, and Lahore was the main hub of learning in Ghaznavid Empire in 12th century. So that was a big moment for the South Asian learning tradition. And the second one was around 1258 when Mongol they conquered a lot of and they attacked a lot of parts of Muslim world, Baghdad and Iran and some part of Central Asia. So a lot of scholars from these parts migrated to Delhi. So Delhi emerged as the hub of learning at that time in 13th century. So as I said, the first madrasa in Ajmer was established by Shahabuddin Ghori in 1190. Later, we see a lot of madrasas appeared in South Asia, just like Madrasah Muizziyah and Madrasah Nasiriyah and other madrasas. And Madrasah Hajj Khas, it was very prominent also. And if you see the history of madaris in subcontinent, you will see all these madrasa. They were prominent at the time and played a big role in this regard. So origin of madrasa in South Asia, as I said earlier, it was in the late 12th century. Nizami in South Asian madrasa. I think Nizamiya influenced the South Asian madrasa in terms of structure and somehow we can say there should be a formal institution, unified system of under the patronage of government. There, a lot of scholars should participate, impart their expertise, their sciences. It should be there. So Nizami influenced the South Asian madrasa in this regard. But if you talk about curriculum, so I won't think so. That the Nizamiya played a role to influence the South Asian madrasa, because Nizamiya was based on Shafi'ism and Ash'arism. And the South Asian madrasa, which was influenced by Central Asian scholars, most of them, they were Maturidi and they were Hanafites. So that they influenced South Asian madrasa. And the curriculum, if you see, the South Asian curriculum, it was based on manqulat and ma'qulat till 14th century. And after 14th century, I think there was no enough portion of ma'qulat in South Asian madrasa. Enough portion of manqulat, transmitted sciences. They based mainly on ma'qulat, rational sciences, from camp. So it was a turning point, and all madrasa, they were converted into ma'qulat institution, not the manqulat one. And I think this is the misconception that these madrasa, they were imparting Quran, Hadith, and Fiqh. They were not imparting, in fact, these transmitted sciences. They were teaching ma'qulat most of the time. Only few books were there from manqulat. I will come later to this aspect. So Nizami of Baghdad did not influence on South Asia from the point of view of curricula, the teaching content of the South Asian madrasa. Yeah, it influenced on the main structure of madrasa. How should it be not only by emperors, but by some philanthropists at the time. They were patronized just like Nizamiya, and state also patronized and donated some endowments for madrasa. So that was the common thing between madrasa of Nizamiya and madrasa of South Asia. And there were some difference, just like South Asian madrasa, it was based on Hanafite thought, and they were imparting rational sciences from 14th century, and they were taqlid. I would say they were firm in extreme form of taqlid, and they were very rigid in this regard, and they never tolerated. They tolerated Shia and other scholars, but a person could do some kind of talfiq to combine between Hanafite and Shafi'i and other two schools of law from Muslim jurisprudence. They never tolerated it at all. So this is the difference. Let's come to the Madrasah in early modern period. There was a point I missed it in last slide. Madrasah and Khanqa. Yeah, this is very important to note that before establishment of Madrasah, the Khanqa also played a pivotal role in South Asia, just like the Khanqa of Ali Hajweri, as I said, in 10th century, 11th century. And Ali Hajweri, we know he came from Ghazni. He came from Ghazni and died in Lahore, 1072, and he imparted education at his Khanqa. And also Khaja Mu'inuddin Chishti, he also imparted education at Ajmer, but Ajmer Madrasa was established before him. And Bahuddin Zakaria also imparted education in Multan, and he was in Delhi, and in 14th century he also imparted education at his Khanqa. So the Sufiya, they also played their role in Khanqa. And if you see the Arabic literature, just like Subul Ash and other books, you will see they use the term of ribat. Ribat was named for the Khanqa in Arabic literature. If you see the Shahabuddin al-Umri, the author of book Masalik al-Absar, Fi Mamalik al-Amsar, and Subul Ash and other writer, and just like Ibn al-Jawzi, he also talked about in al-Muntadam and Sayyid al-Khatir and other books about the Madrasa, when he comes to mention a scholar from South Asia or somewhere else, or he migrated to South Asia to impart education. So he also mentioned that they were synonyms of Khanqa in Arabic language. So Khanqa also played an important role in this regard. As I said, the learning tradition was in transition between Manqulat and Ma'qulat. From 12th century to 14th century, ulama were discussing, and there was dispute between whether Ma'qulat should be incorporated in Madrasa curriculum or not. So, but in incorporate rational sciences in Madrasa curriculum. And Sa'aduddin Muntiqi, he is very famous in this regard. If you see his part of his role in this regard, especially in Tariq Firoz Shah, you will see that he was very he was playing an important role in this regard. That's why he was said Sa'aduddin al-Muntiqi, because he was promoting rational sciences. Yes, let's come to the early modern period. I mean 15th and 16th century. In 16th century, the government officially invited a lot of ulama to Delhi. So they came to Delhi and participated in culture and learning culture of Delhi. I could remember in this regard that Rafi'uddin Safawi Shirazi, very famous muhaddis of that time, and he was the disciple of Abd-us-Samad Sheikh, very famous muhaddis, and Sakhawi was the student of Ibn Hajar, Ibn Hajar was the student of Iraqi. So that was the traditional scholar of hadith at that time, and muhaddis Rafi'uddin came to Delhi and imparted hadith sciences. And two scholars from Multan, I mean Sindh, because Sindh was the part of Multan was part of Sindh. Two brothers, Sheikh Azizullah and Sheikh Abdullah Tulambi, they also came to Delhi and imparted education. And Mir Fathullah Shirazi was invited by Akbar to come to Delhi and bring some sort of reforms in the curriculum of Madrasa. So he was also invited, and he played a very important role in this regard. I will come to elaborate further his role in this regard. Yes, inclusion of latest advanced Ma'qulat books in the curriculum. Yeah, this is true that before Mir Fathullah Shirazi, and if you see the exactly span of time of Mir Fathullah Shirazi, he was in 16th century at the time of Akbar. He came to Delhi and he was appointed Sadr Sudur we can say somehow chief justice or the chief scholar of Akbar time. He was a Shi'i scholar, and he was the student of Mir Ghiyasuddin. So before Mir Fatullah Shirazi, a lot of books were there, just like Matali' al-Anwar was there, Mawaqif Qadi Abduddin Iji was there, Miftah Ulum Sikaki was there. These books of rational sciences or the linguistic sciences or the theology, they were there, used to be taught in Madrasah. But Mir Fatullah Shirazi introduced some books of Mullah Dawani and Mullah Sadruddin Shirazi, known as Mullah Sadra, and other scholar. And Mir Sayyid Sharif Jurjani, also the grandson of Sharif Jurjani, he also came to India and imparted his expertise in rational sciences, especially the Ilm al-Kalam, theology. So all these scholars, they came to Delhi and imparted secular subjects and different books on rational sciences. Yeah, the role of Mir Fatullah Shirazi is very clear in this regard, because he was the person who introduced a lot of subjects. They were not part of curriculum in Madrasa, just like mathematics, measurement, government, medicine, philosophy, history, ethics, Arabic, Persian, Sanskrit. All these were introduced by Mir Fatullah Shirazi, and there are a lot of works I can refer to them if someone has a query in this regard. So Mir Fatullah was key figure in this regard, and he was the Shia Sadhu Sudu, and he was, I think, the first chief scholar of Mughal Empire who was not Hanafi, who was Shi'i. And not only Sadr Sudu, he was also yes, sorry.
Yes, please go
Anyway,
ahead.
yes, sorry for interruption, and it's next time I will suggest that 11 o'clock. I think this is not the suitable time in Islamabad, I think, because because this week I think that was not the schedule of electricity 11 o'clock. But anyway, it's very unfortunate. So we were talking about Mir Fatullah Shirazi, who was a very prominent scholar, Shiite Irani scholar, came to Delhi and brought some drastic changes in the curriculum of Madrasa at that time. And since then, we see the Maqula, they were the main part of Madrasa curriculum in South Asia. And if we want to see the transmitted sciences in Madrasa curricula in South Asia, we see, I think in Tafsir only Baydawi was there, and Tafsir Jalalain was there, some part of Tafsir Baydawi and some part of Jalalain was there. And from Hadith, there was only one book, Masharik al-Anwar, the Saghani, authored by Saghani. There were there were not enough books in Hadith and Tafsir. So I think this is somehow misconception about South Asian madrasa, that they were imparting transmitted sciences, especially after 14th century. I think it was not there. Yes, uh, ulama's representation in every aspect of life. In scientific field and applied sciences, ulama were excelling in these regards. And I mean, the main scholar of geometry and mathematics, they were Muslim scholars. I think they were the graduate of Madrasa, and other disciplines, just like tib, because there were a lot of hukama, atibba. They were also graduates of Madrasa and of the government at that time they were the graduates of madrasa. But concept of madrasa differed from the modern madrasa. This is true. Ideal religious harmony, yeah, in 16th century, there was ideal religious harmony between Sunni and Shiite, and between Muslim and non-Muslim, especially the Muslim and between Muslims and Hindus at the time of Akbar. Uh, as I mentioned, that Mir Fatullah Shirazi was appointed Sadr Sudur, or the chief scholar of Shiite Islam. Uh, yeah, in this regard, I want to highlight that some people say that Hadith sciences, they were also doing a good job in subcontinent. Most of them, they refer to Abdul Haq Muhaddis Delhi. I think this is to note that every scholar who emerged in Hadith sciences in subcontinent or South Asia, I think they got their Hadith studies from Hijazi ulama. They got their shuyukh from Hijaz, just like Abdul Haq Muhaddis Delhi. He went to Hijaz and studied Hadith from scholars from Hijaz. And at his time, he also went to Hijaz and studied Hadith from Hijazi scholars. Yeah, and one of them was Abd al-Haq Muhaddis Delhi. I don't know. The problem is from me or somewhere else.
I think it's the internet connection at your place, I think.
Yeah,
Are you on
yeah.
Wi-Fi?
Sometimes it just appeared that my connection is unstable, but I don't know exactly. Yeah, because when I go to browsing, so it works well, even on my data.
Is someone using
Anyway,
internet at
I'm
your
so sorry.
home?
Yeah, this is very unfortunate. And I think if you allow me, we can wait for more minutes, because after 12, there will be Wi-Fi. So I think we can go smoothly, or we should begin.
I think we should continue as much as we can because 12:30 we have to close this session.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's true. Anyway, I was talking about that they were prospering in 16th century in subcontinent as well. So I was saying that every scholar who appeared in Hadith sciences, I think he went to Hijaz and brought some Hadith what can I say? He studied Hadith in Hijaz and brought back Hadith studies culture in South Asia and started to impart it. Whether it is Abdul Haq Dehlvi or Muhammad bin Tahir Patni from Gujarat, or other scholar, even Shah Waliullah rahmatullah before to go Hijaz, he was not doing a good job in hadith studies. When came back from of commentaries on Muwatta and brought some changes in curriculum of Madrasah Rahimiyya and started to introduce hadith sciences at his Madrasah in subcontinent. Before Shah Abdul-Aziz or Shah Waliullah Delhi. Every scholar appeared in Hadith. He went to Hijaz and came and brought back from their Hadith studies and started to promote it in South Asia. So, but it couldn't continue because if you see his Shah Waliullah Shah Abdullah Delhi, the later historian, just like if you see the book of Ghulam Ali Azad Bil Giram, Himasil Karam, he has mentioned I'm so sorry for this interruption. So I was saying that Hadith was not the part of Madrasa curriculum in South Asia from 14th century. Yeah, let's come to the 18th century, and 18th century is very important in this regard because there were 4 institutions. They were established in 18th century and they played a big role in forming of modern madrasa. I think there were 4 institutions: the Farangi Mahal, very famous, and Madrasah Rahimiyya, which was established by Shah Waliullah, and Calcutta Madrasa, which was established by Warren Hastings, and the Delhi College. It was established by the British colonial government for the Muslims, just like Fort William College for Oriental languages in India. So let's talk about Farangi Mahal. Farangi Mahal tradition, it was influenced by, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead. We can hear you.
That's great. Thank you. So Farangi Mahal, it was actually influenced by the tradition which was established by Mir Fatullah Shirazi, because the person who was behind the Farangi Mahal, we see Mullah Qutbuddin. So Mullah Qutbuddin was the disciple of Abd-us-Salam of Diwa. And Abd-us-Salam of Diwa was the disciple of Abd-us-Salam Lahori. And Abd-us-Salam Lahori was the student of Mir Fatullah Shirazi. So actually the tradition of Mir Fatullah Shirazi came to Farangi Mahal, and there were 4 sons of Mullah Qutbuddin. They were given a land by Aurangzeb, especially the Mullah Sa'id, who was participating in Fatawa Alamgiri. They were given this mahal, this castle, which was used by an English trader, and it was given to them. And after the assassination of Mullah Qutbuddin, so they established their madrasa there, and one of his sons, Mullah Nizamuddin Sihalvi, he appeared as a great scholar of traditional rational sciences of South Asia, and he designed a curriculum which was named later Nizami curriculum. So Nizamuddin Sialvi was behind this tradition of Darsi Nizami, which is going on right now in Pakistan. So this is very important in this regard, the tradition of Frangi Mahal. Yeah, this is true that Deoband was influenced by Madrasah Rahimiyya, as people say, just like Ibrahim Musa and others. But most of the books which are introduced in the modern curricula of all madrasa, which is inspired by Darul Uloom Deoband or Madahir al-Ulum or Nadwatul Ulama Lucknow, these books were the part of Farangi Mahal or Nizami curriculum. So Farangi Mahal, he couldn't have been challenged so far. And all these books which we study in Madrasa and see in the curriculum of Madrasa, they came from Farangi Mahal. And Farangi Mahal, we can say, it was a main uh, 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 what can I say? Yeah, uh, it was the main player in this regard who played in forming of modern madrasa curriculum. So Farangi Mahal history, the Robinson book is very famous in this regard. I think this is not true if we say that Farangi Mahal was imparting rational sciences, and Madrasa Rahimiya tried to counter Farangi Mahal, and Shah Waliullah Rahmatullah in his father, Shah Abdur Rahim, tried to introduce transmitted sciences, just like manqulat, hadith, Quran, fiqh, these kind of things. Because if you see the Wasiyatnama of Shah Waliullah Rahmatullah with the name of Al-Juzul Latif, so we see the all books Shah Waliullah studied at his childhood from his father and other scholar. I think all these books were the part of Nizami curriculum or the Farangi Mahal tradition at the time, which was introduced earlier by Fatullah Shirazi. So there was no big change. And yeah, the main curriculum of Madrasa Rahimiyya remained as Farangi Mahal curriculum. It was not different from that. So Madrasa Rahimiyya was established by Shah Abdur Rahim, the father of Shah Waliullah, came back from Hijaz and wrote two commentaries of Muwatta, Al-Musaffa wal-Musawwa, and he translated Quran Kareem in Persian language. And he tried to bring some kind of talfiq between different school of thought, whether Hanafi, Shafi'id, and Malik. And if you see his Wasiyat Nama, Al-Juzul Latif, he says, Waliullah bin Abdurrahim al-Dahlawi maskanan, والحنفي مسلكا والشافعي درسا والأشعري عقيدة. This kind of text we in his writing of his autobiography, Al-Juz al-Latif. So he was trying to combine between different school of thoughts, between different school of law, especially the Hanafi and Shafi'i, and they were the main. They were causing main problem at that time. They were not tolerating each other, especially the Hanafi. They were not tolerating Shafi'i. But Shah Waliullah was trying to promote Shafi'i usul of hadith criticism at that time. So Madrasa Rahimiyya was the second madrasa which was established in 18th century by Shah Abdur Rahim, and Shah Waliullah introduced hadith sciences. And yeah, this is true. At the time of Shah Waliullah, the madrasa was known as the Hanafi madrasa and the madrasa of Ma'qulat. And at the time of Shah Waliullah, also known the madrasa of Shah Waliullah Rahmatullah. At the time of Shah Abdul Aziz Dahlvi, he tried to incorporate some hadith books in curriculum, and a lot of his scholars, even the Kharabadi people, especially the Fadl Imam Kharabadi and his son, the great son Fadl Haq Kharabadi, the son of Fadl Imam Kharabadi. He also studied hadith from Shah Abdul Aziz Dahlvi. And Sadruddin Azurda, who was a very big scholar at that time, prominent scholar, Sadr Sudur at that time, he also studied hadith from Shah Abdul Aziz Dahlvi. So after Shah Abdulaziz Dehlvi, Shah Ishaq became the successor of Shah Abdulaziz, and after Shah Ishaq migrated to Medina, Mecca, Mian Nazir Hussain Muhaddis Dehlvi became the part of this madrasa, and this madrasa changed his direction, and he became the madrasa of Al Hadith. And Mian Nazir Hussain Muhaddis Dehlvi was very clear in this regard. I won't say some sort of word just like stagnant or rigid. He was not, but he was very biased towards his profound thinking of hadith, Ahl Hadith. And yeah, so at the time of Shah Ishaq, it was not from the time of Mian Nazir Hussain Muhaddis Dehlvi. The Madrasa Rahimiyya became the very famous symbolic institution of Ahl Hadith in Delhi. And Mian Nazir Hussain Muhaddis Dehlvi imparted hadith teaching there, I think, 60 years, because he lived long around 100 years. So it was Madrasa Rahima. The Calcutta Madrasa, it was very important in 17th century. It was 18th century, sorry. It was established in 1780, and it was established from the self money of the very famous India, Warren Hastings, and he was demanded, asked by some Muslim community leaders that they need their kids to be taught religious sciences. So he established Madrasa Calcutta. We can see the minute on the establishment of Calcutta Madrasa. Yeah, we see the minutes of this madrasa, very early document in this regard. So we see he used to prepare some cadre for the government, and they should be loyal civil servants of the British government. And that was the main purpose of Madrasa Ali al Calcutta, or Calcutta Madrasa. Yeah, this is true. Nizamiya curriculum was the part of the curricula of Madrasa Aliyah, especially the rational sciences, and Hadith and Fiqh and Tafsir books were not there. And in the curriculum of this madrasa in 1791, and he modified somehow and excluded some existing book, just like Tafsir Baydawi and Jalalain, from the curricula of this madrasa. And instead of that, he focused on Persian language and Arabic language. And initiative of Arabic language was taken in 1821 in Calcutta Madrasa. And definitely there was resistance from Muslim, and they were not try to let their children learn English and Western sciences. So yeah, that was existing. That was a brief history of Calcutta Madrasa, and there were a lot of changes. And if we want to know something about it, and I think a lot of thesis and dissertation has been written on Madrasa Aliyah Calcutta in this regard. And it went through some changes, especially after 1857, because before 1857, the Calcutta Madrasa was not affiliated with Calcutta University, and scholars, they were not happy with British government, because every institution which was existing in south of India, it was affiliated or associated with Calcutta University, except Calcutta Madrasa. And definitely, in fact, consequentized by the government for the government jobs. And we see the changes which occurred in 1830 in 19th century. So in Bangladesh, there were two kind of madrasa. The first was Madrasa Ali at Calcutta, which was established by British government, and there were some Qawmi madrasas which were established later. I mean, in late 19th century after Deoband. They are called till now Kharji Madrasa or Qawmi Madrasa. So there is the difference: the Qawmi Madrasa and the Madrasa Ali of Calcutta. And the Aliya Madrasa, it was recognized as the Aliya College later, and later it was in 20th century, it was recognized by the government as Aliya University in modern Bangladesh. But we don't find any trace of this Calcutta Madrasa in modern South modern southern part of India. I mean in Calcutta, somewhere else, because all this university was transferred to the Bangladesh after 19 of Pakistan between eastern and western part of it. Yeah, Delhi College, this is also very important in 18th century, and it was established earlier in 1792. And in 1825, it was converted to Delhi College. And before it, it was called Muizzi Madrasah. Muizzi Madrasah, it was called, but in 1825, it was converted to Delhi College. And yeah, they tried to implement abridged version of Dars-e-Nizami and the Western modern sciences in Delhi College. And we see a lot of scholars of this Delhi College. They were the prominent So Delhi College was very important in this regard because from Delhi College, the British government tried to combine between the religious sciences, the Dars-e-Nizami and modern Western sciences. And with the establishment of Delhi College, they also established a very famous Delhi Vernacular Society, which translated a lot of books. And if you see the book of Maulvi Abdul Haq, Delvi Marhum, Marhum Delhi College, we see uh, the uh, the index of all these books which were translated from English or German or French language to the Urdu language. So this society also played a pivotal role in this regard. And yeah, as I said, that this college was established in 1825, and there was a very famous debate which was between the Anglicist and Orientalist, between Lord Macaulay and H. Wilson and H.T. Prinsep. So H.T. Prinsep and H. Wilson, they were Orientalists, and they were saying that the heritage or legacy of South Asia, this is very rich, and we have to impart their own heritage and legacy to their pupils and their students. And we should not say that their tradition of learning is nothing, and they have not contributed to the world. Yeah, we say the very famous saying of Lord Macaulay. He said the library of a scholar in Britain is more than the whole literature of the Muslim world. So I think there was a very famous conversation or discussion between Anglicists and Orientalists, and the British government, they were convinced by Lord Macaulay, and they tried to anglicize of the curriculum and anglicize of the government system. And from 1835, we see the La Khiraj, or the land-free, tax-free lands, they were confiscated by the government, and all endowments which were in the hand of ulama or in favor of madrasa, they were confiscated by the government, and the system was converted from Persian to English, and the fiqh was no more relevant to the court system of the South Asia, and the curricula became the irrelevant at the time. So all it happened after the establishment of Calcutta Madrasa, and that's why we see in 1840s, there were a lot of changes brought into Calcutta Madrasa when Alois Springer, he was the principal of this college, and he played a good role in this regard, and he was very sincere. So I think the Calcutta Madrasa was a good effort by the British government, but unfortunately, it went wrong because ulama were not the part of these discursive debate in bringing some reforms in the curriculum of this Delhi college. So I think it was very important because at the incident of, we call it the War Freedom or Sepoy Mutiny, 1857, Delhi College was ruined by this destruction in Delhi, and the Maktaba was destroyed, and the principal was murdered, the British principal, and a lot of his scholars. And Sadruddin Azurda, he was what can I say? He was also he signed the very famous document against British government, and Fazl Haq Khairabadi was a part of it. So Delhi College couldn't play his role after 1857 at it was playing before. And Malik Ram and other writers who wrote, and just like Khaja Hassan Nizami and Maulvi Abdullah, if you see their writings, so we not only the Sir Sayyid, his book Asbab Baghawatain, but other writers, they also portray that the Sepoy Mutiny, especially especially for the learning tradition of Muslim, and it impacted badly on Delhi College, and Delhi College couldn't revive after, as it was doing its job before. And we see, it was reopened, and I think in 1863 or 64, and but it was not playing its role as it was playing before 1857. In 20th century, it was named with Zakir Hussain Institute, and there were a lot of changes in the curriculum of Delhi College. As I said, with the Delhi College, Delhi Vernacular Society, it played a big role, and it translated a lot of books from Western sciences to Urdu. So this role of Delhi College is very important in the history. The curriculum of this college was modified in different phases, and the book of Marguerite Pernay, Delhi College, and it's there. It's a kind of anthology, and a lot of articles are there, just like Ikram Chughtai and other contributor. And Ikram highlighted the role of Alois Singer in Delhi College in this anthology by Marguerite Pernay. So this is very important. So 18th century was important in this regard because we see these institutions, they were trying to bring some reforms in Madrasah curriculum in South Asia. Farangi Mahal, it was the continuation of long tradition of learning Ma'qulat in South Asia. Madrasah Rahimiyya, they tried to bring some hadith and transmitted sciences, especially from the time of Shah Waliullah and onward. Calcutta, they tried to bridge between Western and rational traditional South Asian sciences, and Delhi College was the main institution of westernization of science. So they translated all these westernized westernized literature into the Urdu. So let's come to the modern period of Madrasa. Deoband was established in 1866, and Nadratul Ulama was established in 1898, and Madrasatul Islah and Madrasatul Falah. I will not talk much about this because this is under writing in my article, which I'm going to produce for Journal of Education for Muslim Society. Darul Uloom Deoband, it was established in 1866. So this is very important figure, 1866, because after Sepoy Mutiny, 1857, Delhi College was closed and it was destroyed, and it was reopened in 1864, as I said earlier. So there was no institution for Muslim imparting education. So ulama decided that we should initiate in this regard, and we should open an institution which should be the symbolic institution and a model institution for the Muslim, and should be imparting the modern and classical sciences of Muslims. But unfortunately, because when Darul Uloom Deoband was established by Qasim Nanutwi Rahmatullah Alayh, it was established for the to impart the modern sciences with the classical sciences. But if you see the writing of Benan and Gram, who wrote a much on Darul Uloom Deoband and modern madrasa. So we see after the death of Qasim Nanutwi in 1888, around 1888 or 87 or 86, I don't remember exactly, Rashid Ahmad Gangohi Rahmatullah Alayh took over and he changed the mindset of Darul Uloom teacher, and he brought some changes in the curriculum of Deoband. And Qasim Nanutwi Rahmatullah Alayh was thinking, as he was he got this thinking from his teacher, Mulvi Mamluk Ali, who was teaching in Delhi College. And as I said, Sir Sayyid and Qasim Nanuti, both of them, they were students of Mulvi Mamluk Ali. So Sir Sayyid established Aligarh in 1867, and Maulana Qasim Nanuti Rahmatullah established Darul Uloom Deoband. So I think both of them, they got this idea from their teacher Mamluk Ali, that Sir Sayyid will be focusing on modern sciences, and Qasim Nanuti Rahmatullah will be focusing on the classical sciences, Islamic sciences. But Qasim Nanuti has a big query in this regard, because he wanted to promote the language of the time. Because he said, if we see the Sawan al-Qasmi or the book of Yaqub Nanuti, the son of Mamluk Ali, he was the fellow of Qasim Nanuti during his childhood and his learning time in Delhi. So Yaqub Nanuti writes that Qasim Nanuti used to think that we should establish a madrasa which would be comprising on the modern sciences, modern philosophy, and modern language of the time. So the Persian, I think at that time, it was not the language of the time. It was the language of 18 and before this century, I mean 14, 15, 16, 17, 18th century. So that was the language of that time, not the language of 19th century. And the philosophy which was being taught in Deoband, it was not the philosophy of time. It was the philosophy of philosophy which was I can say, which was contributed by Muslim scholar in 8th, 9th, and 12th century and later, and it came to the India in 14th and 15th century. So Qasim Nanuti didn't want to incorporate these books of philosophy and hikmah and mantiq in the curriculum of madrasa, but the teacher of madrasa, because they were the graduates of Farangi Mahal, so they came to the Deoband and became the mudarris, and they tried to impart these books and these sciences. So that was the main difference between the tradition of learning in South Asia and the modern Darul Uloom. And when we say the modern madrasa, we always mean by this term the madrasa which was established after Darul Uloom Deoband. And why we call it modern madrasa? Because before it, we see the curriculum of Dars-e-Nizam, Nizami curriculum, but it was not framed with the years, that every student should complete this curriculum in 8 years or 6 years or 9 years. The time limitation was not there. And also, every year, every student what should teach from his teacher, it was not there. And a lot of teachers should sit in one place, and there should be some sort of timetable, and there should be exams after 1 year, and after the passing examination, the student should be promoted to the next class. So this modern concept of learning came first time to the Deoband from Madrasa. It was not, even in Farangi Mahal, if you see, the Farangi Mahal was not doing this in 19th century. It was later implemented by Maulana Abdul Bari in 20th century in Farangi Mahal. So Deoband was the first modern madrasa, and every madrasa came into the existence after Deoband, whether Nadwatul Ulama, Islah, or Falahi Institute. All they were modeling Deoband. Yes, somehow they got some difference from it, and they tried to bring some changes in their curriculum. But unfortunately, till now, the madrasa is imparting the same rational sciences which are irrelevant to the modern time. So I think if these rational sciences are replaced with the current rational sciences, the current philosophy of time, or the current language of the time instead of Persian, I think it would be more fruitful and constructive for the modern madrasa. So I think this modernization of madrasa, or its concept, or the proposed reforms, I think they were proposed by scholars in earlier 20th century. If we read the books of Munazir Ahsan Gilani, not only Hindustan mein Musalmanon ka Nizam-e-Talim, but his address in Rampur College, which is published and transcribed in the book of Miah Haqqani Qadri. So we see Munazir Ahsan Gilani has a different proposal in this regard, and he was not agreeing with the curriculum of Darul Uloom Deoband. And if you see the idea of Zakir Hussain Rahmatullah, he has a different idea in this regard. Abul Kalam Azad, when he was appointed first education minister of India, or in 1948, he has a different idea in this regard. And Hussain Ahmad Madni, he has written Nisab-e-Madani, which is very famous in this regard. So I think all these scholars, even Ubaidullah Sindhi, he has some sort of agenda in his mind, how to reform madrasa curriculum. And Maulana Shibli Nomani, he was first companion of Sir Sayyid and later came to Nadwa tul Ulama, and he also frustrated from Nadwa tul Ulama and left it. So all these scholars, I think they had some suggestion in this regard, and all of them, they agree that this these rational sciences which are being taught in madrasa right now, I think these are irrelevant, and instead we are in dire need of introduction of Jadid Ilm al-Kalam, the new theology of Islam. So that's why I see we should review this curriculum, and we should go to the views of our scholar in 20th century, and we should bring some drastic changes in this regard to make madrasa more relevant to the time and serving the need of the society, and not only their graduates playing their role only in religious economy, but they should be part of society, and they should be playing their role constructively and positively. I think that's all about my presentation today. And first, the last one is single national curriculum. Yeah, I proposed this research just because I wanted to bring some highlights that how the madrasa curriculum could be compatible to the single national curriculum, and how can we bring some changes according to the proposed transformation of ulama in 20th century, so we can convince madrasa scholars and their custodian that these changes are in favor of madrasa. So that was the idea of this talk and this research, and I'm about to complete my research. Only the last I mean modern madrasa is left, and I'm going to complete it inshallah in March. So that's all about my presentation today. Yeah, I welcome if you people agree to pose some question, because a lot of things are left in this presentation, because I prepared some points and I tried to highlight them. So if someone has a question or query in this regard, I will be happy to respond it. Thank you.
Jazakumullah khair. Thank you very much. We apologize to everyone for these frequent disruptions of internet. We are already close to our finishing time, and it's already 12:30. But let's see if we can have a couple of questions. One of the questions was posted in the chat by Ms. Sadia Yusuf. She was asking how how Shafiism is different from Ashariya. Is the claim true that it encountered Shiaism?
Just wait. I should stop my slides. Yeah, it would be good, because I want to. Now I'm switched on Wi-Fi, so it would be good. Yeah. Yeah. The first question was from. Yeah. Let me see. Chat.
Yeah,
Can you share?
the question is Shafiism different from Ashariya? Is the claim true that it encountered Shiaism?
Yeah, this is true. Because if you see, the Seljuk government appeared in 5th century, or we can say 11th century from this calendar. In 11th century, they were countering two things. The first Shiaism, and they were countering Shiaism with Sunnism, especially the Shafi'ism, and the Mu'tazilism, the rationalism thinking with Ash'arism. And we see there are three kinds of monotheistic, we can say, approaches in Islamic theology. First of all is Mu'tazili. They are called rationalist. And the second one is Maturidi. They try to bridge between Mu'tazili and Ash'ari. And the third one is Ash'ari. So actually, yeah, this is true. All Shafi'i, I would say all Shafi'i, except few exception in this regard, exemption, all Shafi'i, they are Ash'ari. They are Ash'ari. And there was, I think, it was a temporary conflict between I would say, that Ash'ari and Hanbali at that time, because Hanbali, they were more centric toward the text of Quran and Sunnah, and they were not accepting Ash'ari. But if you compare between Ash'ari and Mu'tazili, you will see the Ash'ari, they are more centric towards text, rather Mu'tazili. So I think, yeah, this is true. They were trying to counter Shi'ism with Sunnism, with Shafi'i version, and the Mu'tazilite with Ash'arism. So that was the conflict. I think there was no conflict between Hanafi and Shafi'i in Baghdad, because if you see all books in this regard, because according to my knowledge, I would say that according to my knowledge, I couldn't see any dispute between Hanafi scholars and Shafi'i scholars. Yeah, this dispute appeared in South Asia when Shah Waliullah rahmatullah tried to expose Shafi'i version of Sunnism, and he as I said, he writes in his autobiography, the first line of his Juzul Latif, Waliullah bin Abdurrahim Dahlawi, Maskanan wal Hanafi Maslakan wal Shafi'i Darsan. So he tried, and Abdulaziz Alvi rahmatullah, if you see the book of Suraya Dar and Zia Abdurrahman Hyderabadi and other people who wrote on Shah Waliullah, and Nasim Amrohvi, who had done a great job on Shah Abdulaziz Alvi rahmatullah. So they have quoted Shah Abdulaziz Alvi rahmatullah saying that Hanafi fiqh is good in qawaid fiqhiyya, but Shafi'i, they are good in hadith criticism, how to come to know hadith, how to come to differentiate between hadith sahih and hadith da'if. So I think the dispute between Shafi'i and Hanafi was not existing there at the time, I think, in Baghdad. So enough literature is there. Yeah, is it clear?
Professor Dr. Fakhrul Islam, could you please have your comments?
Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum. Are you hearing me?
Wa alaikum assalam.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was really a very comprehensive and thought-provoking lecture, and I think the subject is so important. I must congratulate the organizers and the presenter, Mr. Abd-us-Samad Sheikh, for giving such a thought-provoking
Thank you.
lecture. Here is a very important thing to be brought into your notice, that there is no second opinion about the fact that the system in madrasas should be changed and it should be brought at par with the modern trends and requirements. But the problem is that the sensitivity comes to the limelight when the government tries to change these madrasas or their curricula, because there is a sensitivity, as you know, right from the British time till this time, that the madrasa people don't accept the interference of the government. So I think if this job is given to the madrasa people and they are, given the opportunity to rethink, to review their curricula and, to change their system, I think that would be a very durable solution. But if government tries to change it, then certainly in the post 9/11 era, there has been the sensitivity has been enhanced manifold. So that is the only issue which needs proper attention. I would like to know about your response to this sensitivity. Thank you.
Yeah, this is true. I think 2 weeks ago, I had a talk with. I think there, someone needs to off mic. Yeah, thank you. I had a talk 2 weeks ago with some scholars, and Mufti Taqi Usmani Hafidullah, he was there. When I talked about Qasim Nanuti Rahmatullah, that he has not this kind of vision to impart this Central Asian philosophy of curricula in modern madrasa, and he tried to bring some modern sciences in the madrasa, combining with classical sciences, and he tried to benefit from Darsa Nidami also, but he tried to incorporate English language as the language of the time, and he also tried to bring some reflection from Western philosophy as he writes some letters, and you can read these in Sawan al-Qasmi and other, as I refer to the biography of Yaqub Nanuti for the Qasim Nanuti. So Taqi Usmani Sahib was very surprised in this regard, that, and I got this idea from Brennan and Graham when he said that there was a very clear confusion between two persons in the history at the time of establishment of Deoband. Between Rashid Ahmad Gangohi, he was more centric towards Sufism and transmitted sciences, and between Qasim Nanuti, he was a very broad-minded and very clear-minded person and scholar, and in fact, he was the student of Mamluk Ali. And Mamluk Ali not influenced only on Qasim Nanuti, he also influenced on Sir Sayyid and other people as well. So I think, yeah, this is good to know that, yeah, there is resistance in Madrasa, especially after 9/11. And everything we call it reforms of Madrasa, they think it's imposed by Western media, and the government it's a puppet in their hands. So yeah, this is true. But this is unfortunate that they're not ready to revisit their thinking. This is very unfortunate. And not only in Pakistan, a lot of scholars, they're talking about it, just like Ammar Khan Nasir. He has written few articles in this regard. Dr. Amin, he has done a good job in this regard. Waris Mazari is there in Delhi, in India. So this is very unfortunate. They're not ready even to read their own scholar in 20th century, because even if you see Shibli was not happy with this kind of madrasa. He was not happy with Aligarh and Deoband, and later with Nadwatul Ulama. He's not happy. And if you see the book of Shibli, Musalmanu ki Qadim Talim, so he was not westernized, but he was thinking that we should impart something in our education which is based on modern sciences, in modern philosophy, in modern language. So we are teaching from 50 or 60 books, 15 books in Persian. What will we do with that? Yeah, we should learn Persian because we have a heritage in this language since, especially in South Asia, since 12th century. This is good to learn Persia, and I'm learning. And I had a few classes session there for Persian learning. But I think to teach your student in Persian language, I think this is not fair. Yeah, Arabic is good, but this is unfortunate. You will see some students from Madrasa, they are more excellent in Persian rather than Arabic. So this is not fair. So yeah, we are doing this job, and I'm the graduate of Madrasa, and some Western scholars, they are doing this job. Yeah, they have interest in this regard because in this study, I have mentioned that there are around 25 madrasa in Britain, and all these madrasa, they are inspired by whether Darul Uloom or Madahil Uloom or the very famous madrasa of Ahl Sunnah wal Jamaat in India. So they want to bring some changes, but they realize that we cannot impose some changes except their mother institution, just like Deoband and Madahil Uloom and other Darul Uloom, Taqis, Korangi and Binoria Town and Shabba. These core madrasa, if they are bringing some changes in their curriculum, yeah, definitely they will impact on Britain Muslim institution madrasa. So the government scholars are working on this, and I'm on this because I don't think some highlights Spring or someone just like Princip or other scholar, Orientalists, they were in favor of Oriental sciences. I don't want to bring their reflections and highlights on Madrasa, but I want to elaborate the role of our scholar, just like Ubaidullah Sindhi and Munazir Hassan Gilani and Abul Kalam Azad and Zakir Hussain and Hussain Ahmad Madni, this kind of scholar. I want to highlight their role and what they wanted from Madrasa reform. I think this should be so. I think there is no study in Madrasa in this regard, and every muhtamim is not ready to accept these changes, I think. And if you want to make it relevant, so I think you can see the which has been done recently by Jamit Rashid, and the government initiative is good because when we talk about reforms in Madrasa, we don't say that computer sciences should be there. These are very secondary things. They based on transmitted sciences, what we say, religious sciences. I won't say there should be some kind of mixture between or combination between. No, it should not be admitted in madrasa intermediate. Every student should be forced to do intermediate, and after it, he has option whether to go to university for secular sciences, or he has authority option to go to madrasa. But these kind of, you admit student at the age of, just like me, I got admission madrasa when I was 11 years old. That was not fair because I didn't have the concept of society. What's the sociology? And I think that's the problem in the madrasa, I think. But they should impart religious sciences, but on certain level. Not every student and there no, I think, regulatory authority from the government on for the madrasa. So the madrasa should remain, but they should be focusing on religious sciences, and there should be a criteria for the induction of students. I think these reforms should be introduced by the government, not to intervene in their curriculum, not to intervene. Yeah, I think if you convince ulama that you should incorporate some modern subject, just philosophy or story or civics, I think they would be happy to incorporate, because these are very good science. They will impact on your thinking better, I think, critical thinking. So this is good. And if there is one or two courses for English language, I think this is not bad instead of Persian. I think these are good changes to be introduced in madrasa. This is my point of view.
Okay. Um, Jazakumullah khair. Suhail wants to ask a question. This will be our last question. We are already 15 minutes late. So, Suhail, could you please go ahead?
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Assalam.
And I appreciate and pray to Allah that may Allah accept all your efforts for
Ameen.
organizing these seminars and others as well. Sir, I have two small questions. One is that how can the society in Pakistan, how can we bridge the gap between the two institutions, reputed institutions? One is the madrasas and other are the modern science schools. How can we bridge gap? Because even in today era, there is still a division, and later on, the people who graduate from both the schools, they come into conflict in the society. They don't go in harmony. And the second question is that you mentioned in your presentation that a lot of scholars from South Asia, they went to Saudi Arabia for learning hadith and other ulum. So was that the reason of being the introduction of Abdul Wahab or Wahhabi school of thought in South Asia? Thank you.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, the bridging gap between modern people and religious people, I think, yeah, just this is because of, as I said, that they're not fully enriched with their, I mean, with, they got some kind of, good knowledge from religious sciences, but they're not aware of modern sciences and the modern psyche of knowledge. So I think if we are going to introduce, if we categorize madrasa for higher learning of Islamic studies, so that would be good thing. Because if you see, just like me, I would say my own example. I got admission madrasa when I was 11 years old, and I graduated from there when I was 17 years old. You know, I didn't have a sense of society actually. You know, I read a lot of texts from Quran and Hadith, but I didn't know how to implement them. When I talked to the people about Hadith, I didn't know how to present this Hadith in front of them, because Hadith is the text of is the words of the Prophet, but it has modern implication. Just like a lot of things are there from Zakat and other people and Buyur. Hadith which were mentioned in the Bab in the chapter of trading. You know, so I used to present examples from the classical era of the era of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So if you make pupils of madrasa aware with the modern sciences, I would say to the intermediate or A levels, so this gap between secular and religious people, I think it will shrink itself. It will shrink itself, and there will be no much gap. Just like if we see in 18th and 19th century, every scholar, religious scholar, he has the same worth and importance and intellectualism, just like Anderson. I would say if you are going to compare between Shibli Nomani and Amir Ali, you would not see much difference between of them. And you can see other scholar as well. Abul Kalam Azad, he was a scholar, but he has a good sense of society. So that's why if you compare between Abul Kalam Azad and any other person, you will not, any other intellectual, just like his contemporary Zakir Hussain, you will not see any difference between them. Because first of all, they got a good sense of society. So I think that's the problem. And this is very clear in if you interact with Madrasa people right now. The second question, Hadith, subcontinental ulama, they went to Hijaz and got Hadith from there and brought back this Hadith studies and started to promote it in South Asia. And whether the introduction of Wahhabism in subcontinent is a part of this learning, I don't think so, because the earlier scholar in this regard, I would say it was Abdullah Dehlvi Rahmatullah. He went to Hijaz and came back to Delhi and established his own madrasa. But I say this madrasa did not influence any person. Yeah, Abdullah Dehlvi Rahmatullah influenced Ahmad Sarhindi Rahmatullah, Mujaddid Al-Fisani, and his grandson, only 2%. And some people say, just like Muhammad Isaki has written Indian contribution to the study of Hadith. The book was published by Madrasah University, I think, in 1851. So he tried to highlight this, that Abdullah Dehlvi Rahmatullah influenced on Shah Walullah and his father. I don't think so. He could only influence his grandson and Ahmad Sarhindi Rahmatullah, and he influenced no one else. Shah Walullah, when came back from Hijaz, you know, Shah Walullah Rahmatullah was a student of Abu Tahir Kurdi. And Abu Tahir Kurdi, he was the Sheikh of Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab Rahmatullah. Not Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab. Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab Rahmatullah and Sheikh Muhammad Hayat Sindhi from Ghoti. So when Shah Walullah came from Hijaz, there was no Wahhabism at all. Yeah, this is true. When Shah Ismail Shaheed Rahmatullah went with Ahmad Bareli Rahmatullah to Hijaz and came back from there, so he was influenced by Wahhabi Tahrir. This is true because as I talked about Shah Walullah tradition, Shah Walullah Rahmatullah, Shah Abdulaziz Dehlvi Rahmatullah, and Shah Ishaq, all of them, they were Hanafi. And yeah, they tried to bring some changes and they tried to strike on the rigid taqlid. They tried to remove it from the minds of subcontinent people, but they never left Hanafi fiqh. They never left it. When Shah Ismail Shaheed Rahmatullah came, he was influenced by Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab Rahmatullah, and this is true. And we see a lot of evidences in this regard. And that's why you will see the last representative of Waliullah family, Shah Ishaq Rahmatullah, who was successor of Shah Abdulaziz Dehlvi. He was not happy with Shah Ishaq Rahmatullah and Shah Yaqub. Both of them, they were not happy with Shah Ismail Shaheed Rahmatullah and what he was doing. So yeah, Shah Abdulaziz Rahmatullah endorsed Ahmad Bareli Rahmatullah and appreciated it and wrote some letter to scholar in different parts of subcontinent when he traveled to Lucknow and other parts of India. He wrote letter of support for Ahmad Bareli Rahmatullah, but for social reforms and some unity of Muslim, some unification of Muslim against Maratha and Sikh people. And you will see the dispute which was between Muslim at that time. So Shah Abdulaziz Dehlvi Rahmatullah, even though he issued the Fatwa Darul Harb, but he was not against British government. This is very clear. I don't want to indulge. If someone has, he can talk to me in my office in university. So Wahhabism impacted not by Hadith, because Shah Ismail Shaheed Rahmatullah was not the scholar of Hadith. If you see his books, just like Taqwiyatul Iman, other books, he just only quoted Hadith from Mishkat, nothing else, only from Mishkat. You will not see any Hadith from big books of Hadith, just like classical, I mean Bukhari and Muslim. He is quoting Mishkat al-Masabih, and there are studies that his capacity in Hadith, he was very good, great reformer, but he was not a Hadith scholar just like Shah Waliullah or Shah Abdulaziz or Shah Ishaq or even Mian Nazir Hussain Mahdud. So I think Wahhabism came later with Shah Ismail Shaheed Rahmatullah and Mian Nazir Hussain Mahdud. Yeah, it emerged a lot in this regard. Yeah, I would. Yeah, if you have some other question, I can respond.
Jazakumullah khair. I think we are 22 minutes above our scheduled time, so we shall close it here. Thank you very much for giving us opportunity to listen to your lecture, and I thank you everyone who participated in today's lecture, with apologies due to lack of opportunities for asking questions and the frequent disruption of internet. We hold these monthly lectures on the last Saturday of every month, and the recordings of these lectures are also available on our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/Global Centerpiece, and our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/@Global Center Piece. So the recording of this lecture will also be available there. You are requested to join our Facebook page and YouTube channel, subscribe to it, and share these as much as possible, and stay tuned with our future activities on there. So inshallah, we'll see you again next month with a new lecture. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.